Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Hour number 2 underway. Every Tuesday at this hour, the voice of the Auburn Tigers joins us, Andy Burcham, thanks to our friends at Craneworks.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
The voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham, on Mac and Cube in the morning is brought to you by Craneworks. Lifted, buy and rented, the big dog's got it. Now, Andy Burcham.
Andy, always great to visit with you on a Tuesday. I want to start by asking this question, one that we're going to have a conversation about throughout the course of the show today. Is there a definitive Christmas song for you? One.
One would be "Oh Holy Night."
Okay.
If you break it down into sacred and secular, "Oh Holy Night" for sacred. It's the most wonderful time of the year by Andy Williams would be the secular. There you go.
Okay. So that would be yours. All right.
Yeah.
It feels like we knew there was going to be some roster movement here.
Yeah.
But what are you hearing from Alex Golish, the assistants, the folks that are there in Auburn, just about where this roster needs to go next year, where they want it to be versus where it is right now?
It's a good question, and I will get a little more clarity on that today. I'm going to have the opportunity to sit down with both of Auburn's coordinators for Eagle Plus. So I get a chance to talk with Joel Gordon for the first time, and also a chance to talk with DJ Durkin today as well. So I will have a little more clarity about that, Cole, by this afternoon. I'm going to sit down with them late this morning and just talk, and that's got to be one of the topics. I mean, the roster, and I mean, you've seen, as I have on social media, the guys that have reportedly declared that they're going to the transfer portal at this point. I think we knew that would occur, especially with a coach. Heck, even without a coaching change, it's happening in this day and age. So is it happening more perhaps than we thought? Maybe at this point, and especially at the wide receiver spot. I think it makes retaining Cam Coleman all the more important for every reason, including his immense talent and value to this ball club. But with the other guys putting their name in the hat for the transfer portal, I think Cam Coleman continues to be perhaps one of, if not the top target to keep for Auburn right now.
I don't think there will be any doubt about that. What about the staff?
That's now they're chattering, as I know.
Sure. What about this staff that has come together? Obviously, you've seen guys like Cody Burns back on campus. Auburn fans are going to be excited about that. You have 2 defensive coordinators that were active at that spot in the SEC last year that are now on the defensive staff. I think you have to feel pretty good about that. What are you hearing sort of about the staff and how things are coming together there?
Well, you've got 2 guys from last year's staff that were retained. Obviously, DJ Durkin as the defensive coordinator, linebackers coach, and then on the defensive line, Vontrell King Williams. I think that group is excited to have Vontrell back with that group. A lot of these guys have obviously ties to Alex Golish, and we'll find out. I mean, Brad Wilson, an outside linebacker, is a guy that I had a chance to talk with for a couple of minutes because he and I both have a tie to Indiana State. He was there as a coach. It's my alma mater, so we talked about that just a little bit. But you do have guys that have been coordinators elsewhere. I look forward to getting to know Joel Gordon a little bit more today. As Auburn's offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, he did great work, obviously, at Iowa State before he joined Alex Golish at South Florida. Cody Burns back, Larry Porter back with Auburn as he returns to the Auburn staff as a running backs coach. So there's a lot of new pieces on this staff. Some guys that have been here before, some that are returning like Larry Porter and Cody Burns, and then a couple of the guys that have stayed on the defensive side of the ball. It looks like that staff is now complete with the tight ends coach that was hired, announced, or at least in the social media yesterday. So I think this staff is ready to go, and now attack between now and the transfer portal, and that is a very, very important part of it now. As the transfer portal period comes up in January, there are spots that Auburn has to be able to fill. Offensive line will be one of those. I think some work up front defensively as well. So yeah, there's a ton of work to come for Auburn in the transfer portal phase next month.
All right, this Auburn basketball team, Andy, they've kind of, from a schedule perspective, been on a little bit of a roller coaster ride here. It's going to ramp back up soon. What have you learned about this team, say, the last 2-3 games out?
If Auburn doesn't do a good job of distributing the basketball, it can be in a little bit of trouble. I thought Auburn overcame that against Chattanooga Saturday. The head coach was not real thrilled. He was happy with Auburn's win, but not real thrilled with the process for Auburn. When Auburn gets turnover prone, it can be in some trouble. And although I thought it stayed away from that for the most part against Chattanooga, that was a major problem against Arizona. It was a major problem against Michigan. And now you get ready for a Purdue team that's number 6 in the country. So this will be Auburn's 4th top 10 team that it has faced. All 4 away from Neville Arena, 3 of the 4 on neutral sites. The only true road game that Auburn has played, was at Arizona. And while this game on Saturday in Indianapolis is a neutral site game, it will be a huge home court advantage for Purdue, much like Auburn was a year ago in Birmingham when Purdue came to town. Purdue or Indy and West Lafayette, Indiana, about an hour and a half to 2 hours apart. Purdue travels. There'll be a big, big crowd at Gainbridge Fieldhouse on Saturday. So Auburn will be going up against a huge home crowd, albeit on a neutral site. And Purdue has perhaps the best point guard in the country in Braden Smith, but they are big and physical. They'll go 6'5" at one guard, then 6'9", 6'9", and 6'11", with 7'4" coming off the bench. And big and physical has given Auburn trouble this season. We saw it against Arizona. We saw it certainly against Michigan, and we will see it again this Saturday against Purdue. And one of those bigs is really, they're a very talented ball club. And C.J. Cox, who played against Auburn last year in Birmingham, scored 16 points, is a 6'9" guard. A 6'9" guard and just a sophomore. And he is a load for the Tigers. But it all starts up front, Cole, with the point guard in Braden Smith, who is 9.2 assists per game. He's number 2 in the country in that, and he is the engine for this Purdue ball club, to be sure.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. Are there more minutes for different players coming up in the next few weeks, next few games that Auburn fans should anticipate?
Well, I think, for example, Philip Jovich gets more minutes now just with the announcement that Emeka Purim is done for the season with his medical condition. I don't think Auburn is ready to talk specifically about that at this point. And although Emeka wasn't getting a ton of minutes, he was at least a factor for Auburn off the bench, and he could give you a couple minutes for Murphy, for Keyshawn Murphy, just to give him a couple minutes of rest in a ball game, and that's no longer a factor. So I think Philip Jovich will get more minutes for Auburn off the bench. I think Simon Walker gets more minutes for Auburn now off the bench. He played, I thought, a key factor in Auburn's win against Chattanooga. Came in and hit his first 2 3-pointers in the first half, the freshman out of Huntsville High School. So I think those are 2 guys that will get more minutes for Auburn right now. Abdul Bashir has been down for a while, a shooting guard, and that's another reason that Simon Walker continues to get more time at that backup 2 for the Tigers. And he gives Auburn a little bit more size to go in and rebound as well. So those are 2 guys, I think, that Auburn that gets more playing time for the Tigers as a result of a couple injuries for the Tigers as well.
Absolutely. What have been your thoughts so far of Stephen Pearl and him handling this team, this job? You've had a closer seat to it than almost any of us. And I don't know. It's probably a little bit too early to assess, but just what you have been able to assess so far, how would you describe his early tenure as the Auburn head basketball coach?
I think he has done a really good job with this ball club so far. And listen, I mean, as much on the job training as he has had as Auburn's associate head coach and the defensive coordinator, when you finally take that step into the head coaching world, there are going to be adjustments. And he's talked about that with me a little bit. You know, I mean, there's always those adjustments. Time management is drastically different in the head coaching realm than it is as an assistant coach. And I think he's learning to deal with that. And this schedule with this ball club is not an easy one. It is a tough one. When you've faced four, by the time Auburn is done playing Saturday evening, it will be 4 top 10 teams that you have faced, and all of those have been on the road, either in a neutral site or in a true road environment. And that's been, I think that's been a factor for this Auburn ball club. And I just think this is an Auburn team that will continue to improve. I mean, a year ago you had 10 seniors on that Final Four team, including the player of the year in Janai Broom, and then you had another bona fide leader on that ball club in Dylan Cardwell, and both of those guys patrolled the middle. And so when mistakes were made on the perimeter, you had those two rim protectors. And Auburn doesn't have that this year yet. So it is a much different ball club. It plays a different style of basketball. It is more offensive-minded with this team. But I think the thing that continues to be a factor is that this team will need to continue to improve from a defensive standpoint as this season goes along. And it may take some adjustments. I don't think Auburn can play defense exactly like it played last year because of the personnel differences that this ball club has. And I do think this will be a battle-tested team when Southeastern Conference play begins on January 3rd at Georgia, just because of the schedule that it has played thus far.
Absolutely. Andy, we always appreciate the time. It's always great catching up with you, man. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll do it again soon next week.
All right. Thank you very much, Cole. Let me tell you about Wasteworks. It's a Craneworks company and provides roll-off dumpster rentals in the Birmingham area, a wide range of sizes and fast service. They're your source for local dumpster rentals. Visit wasteworksusa.com for a quote. How'd your coaching go last week, Cole?
I was actually out-coached last week, and I told my kids that after the game. The team that we played, I'll give Coach a lot of credit. He had the kids throwing screens. He had them playing his own defense, which I didn't think a lot of coaches would be able to have success with, and we didn't have a lot of adjustments for it. So that was on me.
Well, we all learn, don't we?
I don't know what I learned from it, other than I'm not a good basketball coach. Other than that, we had fun. We tried hard. We didn't complain. That was the 3 things we accomplished. So we try to do that every game. Other than that, we're good. So try to make it up again this week.
There you go. Well, good luck, all right?
Appreciate it. Thanks, Andy. We'll catch up next week.
Take care. War Eagle.
War Eagle. Andy Burcham, voice of the Auburn Tigers, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Always great catching up with Andy. We've got Jake Butt coming up in about 15 minutes to talk Big Ten. Big Ten in the playoff. Michigan, where do they go next? All that and more right after this on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. College football award season, I guess, kind of winding down now. Jeremiah Love picks up the Doak Walker Award. Jacob Rodriguez picks up the Chuck Bednarik Award. Caleb Downs, former Alabama safety, now at Ohio State, takes the Thorpe Award. Eli Stowers, Vanderbilt, John Mackey Award to the nation's best tight end. Mekhi Lemon takes the Bolitnikoff Award to the nation's best wide receiver. Now, Mendoza, who took the Heisman, also gets AP Player of the Year, Maxwell and Davey O'Brien. Joe Moore Award will be presented on Monday. Y'all have to wait for that. See if you can figure out who that's going to be. Monday. Another quarterback we did not mention, we were running through our quarterbacks that are going to enter the portal. Sam Levitt reportedly going to enter the transfer portal. Not the year that he wanted this year, but some big names will be after him. Already getting mentions of Oregon, Indiana, Miami, LSU. And now think how this quarterback thing has shifted to where guys may want to go. We're hearing Swordsby, probably Texas Tech. But the desirability of where to be, where to go. Like seeing what Dante Moore's done after taking a year off and sitting and watching for a year, you think, Oregon's been there, but now Will Stein going to be gone. So how does that look? How could you not, if you were a quarterback that had legit skill, and maybe either there were two of you at a place, or you just needed new scenery, whatever that was, how is Indiana not towards the top of your list?
You've got to consider it now.
I almost look at it as like the quarterback destination. What they've done with two guys that got very little buzz going into the season in a row, with Curtis York and Fernando Mendoza, I don't know how Indiana's not towards the top of your list.
It was Miami, but then all of a sudden now it's Indiana.
You know LSU's going to be there.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have receivers, because they always do. And now you got a guy there that can get a quarterback the numbers and the throws, and he's proven into the league early in the draft. So just interesting how that has kind of shifted here a little bit with these were the QB destinations for the last however many years. These are where the quarterbacks wanted to go. We thought they were going to go play. Now, like Indiana, a new real player there. I don't think Miami's going to go away. Shannon Dawson's still going to be there. The money's still going to be there. Still going to attack it from skill players around you. But like LSU has now shown up. Indiana has now shown up as, and I mean, LSU had Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels. It's not like they hadn't been a player in the quarterback market.
No, right, yeah.
But it's even more so now, maybe a little bit different now. So Aiden Childs, TJ Finley, Dylan Raiola, Brendan Sorsby, Caden Hauser, DJ Lagway. Where do some of these guys end up? We won't know for a while. It'll be interesting to see. And then where do they fit? That's one of the questions we have with DJ Lagway that was a little tough to. I don't know exactly what DJ Lagway fits in. I don't know that. Probably have a spot at JMU if he wants it. Not sure the NIL money would be the same there, but you'd think that that's at least one place that he could go. Lenore Sellers back at South Carolina. And I just go back to a conversation, John, that we had a few months ago. Just in the SEC, like just staying in the Southeastern Conference, where we were in the preseason versus to where we finished from a quarterback perspective. Like Garrett Nussmeier finished 10th in the league in pass yards. How much were we talking about Trinidad Chambliss? Because he finished 4th. Lenore Sellers finished 12th. I mean, it's DJ Lagway 15th, Jackson Arnold 16th. I mean, we were way off ranking the quarterbacks in the SEC. If you had to re-rank the quarterbacks in the SEC right now, how would you do it? If you went 1 through 5 right now today, SEC quarterbacks, is Pavia 1?
Yeah, probably.
Everything he's asked to do, everything he did inside that scheme, that system, I'll go a step further, is the only one you can make the real argument for at 1 Gunnar Stockton.
To me, it was between Pavia and Stockton.
And neither of them led the league in passing yards. No. That was Joey Aguilar, by the way, who apparently had trouble with his intermediate accuracy. and didn't have a strong enough arm to push the ball down the field. He threw 24 touchdowns and threw for 3,400 yards. I will say, I don't think that the buzz was out of control with Marcel Reed before the season. I think it got there midseason. But we didn't go into the season saying, Marcel Reed about to blow it up. I don't think the national media was there. It was more Nussmeier, Sellers, Lagway, Arch Manning. And I will say, Arch stepped it up late. He cleaned a lot of things up. Arch did what you're supposed to do at his age. Like, if you go back and look at it, and it's unfair because of the buzz and the publicity and the chatter, but if you actually outline it and look at it, Arch Manning's career is going exactly the way it's supposed to go.
Yeah, pretty much.
You sit and wait. You have some spot duty time. Oh, you got to fill in, start. You come off the bench a little bit. Then you get your first start as the regular guy. You have some bumps in the road along the way. Some things don't look clean or pretty. You repair a few of those things as the season goes on, and then you look like a different guy at the end of your first year as a starter as you did at the beginning. I think that's an exact, very fair way to describe what he's done.
Not to say he'll be at this level, but it's eerily similar to Joe Burrow. I know he transferred, whatever, but he got in, played a little bit, and then when he finally got in his first year, it was like, okay, like he looked good, not great, but you could tell, all right, he's progressing, and then all of a sudden, boom, it clicked.
And he had the advantages of the system changing to suit what he was best at, and obviously some guys around him that let him showcase that. Like John Mateer before the season. Remember what we were saying about John Mateer? How he was going to shred? Now, they're in the playoffs, so you can't say too many negative things, but guys, John Mateer threw 12 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. What? Ty Simpson we thought was going to be good. I don't think people would have believed you if you said 32-68, 26 touchdowns, 5 picks. God, we still got people that want to bench him. You people. Taylon Green. I thought he would have been better than 19 and 11. I don't feel like Taylon Green got better this year. Still dynamic, still exciting, but don't feel like he got better as a player. Blake Shapen, fine, but it just kind of didn't work out. I feel like he was going to be better than he was. Like let's go through the top 16 SEC passing leaders quickly from where we were going into the season, stock up, stock down. So what you thought they were going to be. Joey Aguilar, stock up.
Yes.
Diego Pavia, stock up.
Absolutely.
Ty Simpson, stock up.
Yeah.
Trinidad Chambliss, stock through the roof. Literally penny stock that we just became billionaires on.
Jordan Belfort just
Unfortunately,
made a
none of us bought it before the season.
No.
We were not.
Nope.
We didn't even know that stock existed. That actually was a Jordan Belfort stock. He invented it.
Yep.
Like just said, oh, this is a thing. Arch Manning, stock up. Keep in mind, we're college football realists here.
Yes.
We weren't talking about four Heismans.
We
didn't have those conversations.
Yes.
So yes, for us, Arch Manning is stock up. A lot of people are going to say, "Bob, yes, he didn't really live up to the expectations.
Supposed to win the Heisman.
They're not even in the playoff. Kid's running for his life." Here's an interesting one. Honestly, from where you were beginning of the season, Marcel Reed.
Stock up.
I don't know if it's down. It's. I think he ended right about where I expected him to, but the journey was not what I expected.
See, it was way up for me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think he was the guy.
Same.
I was like, yeah, he's athletic. He's got great skill set, but he just ain't that guy. And he proved more times than not that he was. Now, he has more holes than a lot of people want to admit, but I would still say stock up for me. John Mateer.
Stock down.
Way down.
Yeah.
Way down.
And he's made great plays. Like, he's done great things. And a lot of it's not his fault, but the stock is down. Taylon Green.
I don't think he got any better.
Yeah, I would just say we started at $1.50 and we're at $1.49 maybe.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even $1.51. Like we hadn't really moved that much. Blake Shapen, it's got to be down.
Yeah. Again.
In that system with those guys, seeing how the receivers and running backs probably overachieved, he needed to be better.
Yeah.
Garrett Nussmeier.
Stock way down.
And again, a lot of it's not his fault. I mean, just no protection. The direct inability of an offensive coordinator to call a run play. Like literally. the complete decided nature of not running formations that are evened up. Like just the complete stonewalling of attempting to balance your offense. Gunnar Stockton,
Stock way up.
way up.
Oh yeah.
Way up. Lenore Sellers.
Down. Plummet.
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's plummeting, but it's definitely not where I expected him to be at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, and he's like an oil company that had an oil spill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's not their fault, but it's like you can't feel great about them. Like you're ruining our oysters.
How are these ducks going to get clean?
Don.
Can't even go to the beach. It's not his fault, but it happened on your watch.
It did.
So, Cutter Bowley, I guess. I didn't have an.
It didn't have a
Stock
name.
up.
Yeah.
I know him now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
We know
right.
his name. Up. He's on the board. He has a stock.
Yeah.
It's buyable.
Jordan Belfort Part 2.
Bo Prabula.
About the same.
Boy, that was like a roller coaster, man. Like,
Yeah.
there were
Yeah.
times early that I was like, really? This kid? And then it was like, no. And then maybe, and then hurt. So
I think, like you said about whoever was making, like it may have started at $1.50, ended up at $1.49, but at one point it was $4, and at one point it was 4 cents.
Yeah.
DJ Lagway,
Down.
got to be down.
Yeah.
And that was maybe an unfortunate up early with a lot of hype around it. Like there's a lot of things we thought it was, but it wasn't. Jackson Arnold. Fire sale. It's for sale. And it's going to be at a net loss, but we're looking to dump.
I mean, it's about this. This is where I expected it from him.
Now, I think some of us, I thought there could have been more than what it was, but it's still down, no matter what. Okay. All right, when we come back, Jake Butt is going to give us the latest on this Michigan situation with their next head coach and then help preview some of the Big Ten teams in the college football playoff. We'll do that next right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Going to go right to the Higginbotham Hotline now. Welcome in Jake Butt of the Big Ten Network. Played his college football at Michigan. And Jake, obviously we want to start with this Michigan situation. I don't think we need to spend any time on how we got to where we are. That's all been covered. But what do you view as being next for this Michigan administration, this next Michigan head football coach?
Yeah, I think they're just they're in a process right now where it goes beyond just finding the next head coach. I believe they hired an outside law firm to investigate like how this entire process was handled. It's worth noting that they have an interim president right now, so it's not like there's like clear leadership top down above the head coach. So there's some uncertainty there. It makes it unclear, at least for me, on who would even actually be making the decision in the hire of the head coach. And then you got to factor in the fact that some of their candidates have playoff games coming up. So that is just further uncertainty. But I mean, the truth is, even this is what I keep going back to. If there's a candidate that wants the Michigan job and a check gets written, there'll be no concern of whether that check will bounce, regardless of what the leadership looks like. It's still an extremely attractive job. It's just a matter of who's making that decision and whether or not the candidate is okay with a potential uncertain future of the leadership above him.
Well, this is one of those jobs, Jake, that I look at, and people always, the national media will focus on some of the things that have gone wrong, some of the reasons we got to where we are. But there will be names interested in this job that we will never hear about. And they'll want to keep it quiet. They're going to feel this out because it's the Michigan job. And it is one of the jobs in college football for multiple reasons. I'm not asking you to reveal names, anything of that nature, but have you heard some rumblings of there are some folks interested in this job that most people would not put them on their search list name, or names that you might want to watch out for this job because they're going to kind of keep it in a back room, but if all things maybe did align, they would absolutely take a serious look at this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's a possibility for every reason you laid out. I'm kind of the opposite belief here. I think there's been a lot of reporting that, at least from everything I know, it would be quite literally impossible to be accurate. Like, I don't like when this came out, it was initially stated that, the board of Michigan was a done deal and that Michigan anticipated the firing of Sharon Moore. So they've been having conversations. I just don't believe that was a done deal. And in the Michigan community, it seemed like there was a day there where it looked like Dillingham to Michigan was a done deal. I just don't see how that was a possibility. I think there's been just a lot of smoke and mirrors. Again, I haven't been able to even hunker down who is the final sign off on this. I can't truthfully even answer that question to you right here. So it'd be impossible for me to say whether or not there's even further candidates that certainly want the job or not. It's really, really unclear. And I think that could work against Michigan. But in the end, if they get the candidate they want, then, we won't even be talking about the hiring process.
And that's got to be more difficult now, Jake, because I know with a lot of jobs that we see come open, we wonder sometimes who has the final say anyway, whether it's booster, president, AD, board, multiple boosters. We wonder, okay, who's really having the final word here? And now, from the way that things have been disrupted, I can imagine that makes it even more complicated. Let's move away from Michigan here and stick with the Big Ten, focus in on the college football playoff. There are not a lot of people that are going to talk about why this JMU team is going to be complicated for Oregon. Do you find reasons that they will be, or do you look at this as one of just Oregon shows up, plays good football, plays clean football, should be able to have a comfortable win?
Yeah, no, this one, I'd say, one of the other debates to have is like, hey, is there any team outside of the four teams with the bye that can actually win a national championship this year? And I think Oregon is the only other team I would group in there and say has a real chance at winning a national championship. Oregon's 11-1. Their one loss was to the Indiana team that we all saw go undefeated with a Heisman quarterback. And I think what's really interesting is towards the end of the season, Oregon started to deal with some serious injuries, particularly at the wide receiver position. They were without DeCorian Moore, who was their wide receiver 1. Gary Bryant Jr. was their wide receiver 2. Evan Stewart was their wide receiver 1 of the offseason. He had major knee surgery, and it's now trending like he's practicing and could be back. So they could actually be in the opposite situation of most teams, where they could be entering a playoff run where they're as healthy as they've been all season. I think that's really important. They're still a really complete team. They can run the ball, dominant offensive line, round 1 quarterback. I think this team is built to win a national title, and no offense to JMU, I just don't think they can do it. But the best thing that's come out of this, I don't know if you guys have seen that JMU Twitter account.
Oh, yeah.
The content that is coming out of JMU is just outstanding. We should give them a trophy for that alone.
No, it's been fun to watch and cool to see a team like not take themselves so seriously and just kind of enjoy where they are, what they are, and what the process is that they're going through right now, and kind of making the most of it. Let's talk advancement to the next round. When you look at Ohio State, regardless of who they face and what that game's going to look like, how do you sort of view them going into the playoffs now after what happened to Indiana versus maybe how you viewed them 2-3 weeks ago?
I don't change my opinion. I've been really high on this Ohio State team all year long, and if anything, it's I needed to maybe see it with Indiana. If anything, I elevate my opinion of Indiana more than change my opinion of Ohio State. Now, that being said, I mean, the big reason why is that Ohio State defense is absolutely dominant. It is going to be very hard to get to 20 points on them. That's regardless of who the opponent is. The big thing for Ohio State offensively is you look at that Indiana game, and it started to kind of reveal some of the issues Ohio State has had throughout the season, but they're fixable. Short yardage, goal line, red zone. That's where things have been problematic. And I think they're going through a bit of an identity crisis right now. You know, I played tight end. I love seeing tight ends on the field. There's some crazy data in that Indiana game. Ohio State in short yardage situations is coming out in 12, 13, 14 personnel, throwing to Bennett Christian, their third string tight end, with the game on the line. If I'm Ryan Day, I got to say that there should be no gotta have it situation game plan where we're taking Carnell Tate and or Jeremiah Smith off the field, period. It's just, that cannot happen. If anything, spread them out to run the ball, because those guys are such a big threat. But that proved to be problematic against Indiana. And I think the good thing for Ohio State is some of the things that proved to be problematic in their loss to Michigan last year ended up being the springboard that allowed them to play their best football on the way to a national title. So if I'm an Ohio State fan, what I'm hopeful is that the conversations being had right now from the loss of Indiana allows them to play better football and go back-to-back.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. And it's a great point that you make on the tight ends, too. Like you said, I love seeing 12, 13 personnel, but when you have those receivers, it feels a little bit nonsensical.
Right.
When you fast forward for Ohio State, do you see a more favorable matchup between Miami or Texas A&M?
No, if I'm Ohio State, they can't go. If they can't say this, if I'm Ohio State, in the back of my mind, even Caleb Downs has a podcast, and he's focused. He's not overlooking anyone, but he's kind of alluded to it. They want that rematch against Georgia. They want a chance to play Georgia again, from a few years ago when they lost on that last second field goal. And I think Ohio State is built to make a national championship run. I mean, Ohio State will be by far the best team that A&M has played all year. I do not trust Carson Beck. He might have a good game. He might have two good games. It's just a matter of time before he throws some interceptions and costs his team a game. And if he does get out of that round and play the Buckeyes, I think he'll have a poor game against that Buckeye defense. So I wouldn't be too concerned if I was Ohio State.
All right, let's go to the Big Ten champions and how things are going to fare for them. This Indiana team, they just don't feel like they have any weaknesses. They don't. I think the rest of these teams, Jake, that we can talk about, be it Ole Miss, A&M, Miami, Oklahoma, Bama, even Oregon, like there's a thing that we could point to say, hey, if you can take that away, or you can neutralize that part of their team, or if you have a strength here and can attack this, you can find sustained success. Where do you find sustained success against Indiana?
You are spot on, and it is. I think like when I would describe Signetti and the job he's done, it is a coach's dream. I mean, they are the most well-coached football team in all three phases, in the trenches, at the skill positions. They play hard for 6 seconds every play for 60 minutes every single game. It is like I was such a treat to be there at the Big Ten championship in such a high pressure, historic situation. It meant so much for that university. And yet the team elevated to meet the moment. And then their coaching staff is, I mean, these coordinators got to be the most underrated coordinators in all of college football. I mean, it's a matter of time before more people start giving them respect. Their game planning is outstanding. So to your point, there really is not a weakness. They play team football. The only concern I have, they lost their best defensive lineman, maybe their best defensive player in Stephen Daly, celebrating after the Ohio State game, celebrating. It looks like he's going to be out for the season, leads the country in tackles for losses. That's not a guy that's easily replaced. But again, the key for Indiana's defense is it's 11 individuals playing as one. They're one unit. So losing Stephen Daly as an individual does stink, but it's the sum is greater than the parts. So I still think like the team defense can make up for it. But maybe that's the thing that could eventually affect them.
Do you view either Alabama or Oklahoma as a better matchup for Indiana, or is it just they're going to have to figure out how to manage Indiana?
To your point, I think both those teams are flawed. I think Indiana is far more complete. Like, Bama can't run the ball. It sounds like Ty Simpson is, less than 100% with his back. Oklahoma's offense doesn't really concern me. So I think Indiana has earned the right to be the aggressor in those situations. I would be shocked if Indiana wasn't the favorite regardless.
Yeah, I picked them to win the whole thing. I don't know where you are, but I just don't. I know Ohio State was great. I would probably least like to face Oklahoma just because that front seven is so different and so insane with the talent and then how they operate. I think there are parts of Ole Miss, of A&M, of Miami, of Oregon that I could look at and say, man, I could see them making a run. I think Georgia and Ohio State are probably 1A, 1B behind Indiana as far as being complete teams, and wouldn't surprise me if they won it. But I also think Indiana's got that it factor, man. Like, you and I have been around it. We've seen it. We know it. I can't describe it. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but I know it when I see it, and I can watch it and tell. They got a quarterback that I don't think anybody else would rather have in a 2-minute drill or with the game on the line.
Yep.
And then there's just a part of that team. Maybe it's a belief that they have that other teams just quite don't have as much of.
You're spot. You can feel it. It's like that. This is why analytics. I think analytics are good to an extent in football because there's an emotional aspect. There's a belief. That is one of the more unified football teams that I've ever seen. I mean, they are together, and there's something to the players speak to it too. Like, these guys were not believed in coming out of high school. They were told they weren't good enough. They're a bunch of misfits, and yet they all come together with their head coach, who's a misfit, who had to go down a level to bet on himself when he's 50 years old to be a head coach just to get to this spot. Like, those guys love one another. And that used to be like more common in football. I think now with the transfer portal and social media, I think there's fewer teams that have true unity. That Indiana football team's like a throwback football team. They have such belief in one another. Isn't it crazy? I mean, to think that you're picking Indiana to be undefeated, national champs, Big Ten champs, Heisman quarterback. I mean, this is just remarkable, the story that they're on.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. And I don't think it's getting enough run of how insane it is. I mean, you're talking about 11-win seasons in the history of the program. He's done it back-to-back years.
When he took over, they were the losingest program in college football. Like, it's crazy. They had the most losses, and yet I think there's an element to it of like it's almost prophecy where he told our Big Ten Network crew, they interviewed him when he got the job in Indy. He said, yeah, we'll be back here next year. Now, he didn't make it that first year, but he did make it to Indy to win the Big Ten championship we saw a few weekends ago. Then he called out Purdue. He called out Michigan and Ohio State. Check, check, check. He said, my quarterbacks, they win the Player of the Year. They win the MVP. Well, Heisman Mendoza. I mean, everything he said has come true, and he did it at a place that you have to be completely insane to outwardly say these things. It is just, if you or I presented a movie script to Hollywood, they would say, no, this is just not believable. No one's going to believe this. They'd reject it, and yet we're seeing it in real time. It's that crazy.
It is, man. It's wild. Did you take Indiana to win the whole thing?
I will. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm with you of saying it's Indiana with Georgia and Ohio State being very close. I would not be shocked if I could pick the three teams. It would be one of those three teams. I'd give Indiana a slight edge though of those three.
Absolutely. Jay, great stuff, man. Thanks for hopping on with us. Really appreciate the time. Great stuff, and we'll do it again soon.
Sounds good. Take care.
Yes, sir. There you go. Jake Butt joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Find him on the Big Ten Network, covering college football. Does a great job with it. Former Michigan Wolverine with us here on Mac and Cube, talking college football. Game Day Men's Health wants to help you feel better. If you're lacking sleep, lacking energy, feeling on edge, go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. Sign up for that free consultation. It's free. It's easy. You get the free PSA test, free testosterone test. They give you your baseline health. They let you know where you stand, and then they're going to be able to present different options for you. If it's weight loss, if it's testosterone replacement, if it's peptides, they have multiple ways they can get you back to being your best self at Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now and sign up. Holistic approach to health and wellness. Great people inside that facility. Also, minimal upfront costs from the programs that they offer. And you can save 10% on any program they offer by mentioning Mac and Cube in the morning when you walk in the front door. Game Day Men's Health open in Trustville, Vestavia, Auburn, Tuscaloosa. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now and sign up for that free consultation. All right, back with more college football discussion next right here on Jocks. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Glad you're with us. Interesting conversation there with Jake Butt. I don't know. When I look at this field, I see probably three teams that I believe, I'm not going to say can win it, but are going to win it. That would be Ohio State, Indiana, and Georgia. Now, I do love Oregon's draw. And if Oregon sees an upset their side of the bracket, I could absolutely see them playing for a national championship. Now, do they maybe need two upsets to actually go win it? Oregon, Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia for the national title. I'm probably leaning Oregon. I'm leaning Ohio State or Georgia. But do I think Ole Miss could get Georgia? Yeah. Do I think A&M or Miami could get Ohio State? Yes, I do. I think A&M Ohio State would be really interesting because Ohio State, not a dominant rushing attack. A&M has given up some yards on the ground at times this year. We know what that pass rush looks like, but I don't know if the secondary is elite. So how does that even out? Ohio State's front can be problematic. How does Marcel Reed deal with that? And how does Marcel Reed deal with, Caleb Downs being able to show so many different things in that back into that defense? Miami obviously can get to the quarterback as well. Ohio State wants to throw the football. That could be an interesting matchup. I think the offensive line probably matches up a little bit better with Ohio State's front. Oregon, if they were to see Indiana, I'm not going to feel great about Oregon. But if Alabama or Oklahoma were to upset Indiana, I could see Oregon getting past that group. Could Ole Miss knock off Georgia, and then if there were an upset, maybe A&M, Miami? I mean, that's like a coin flip game, those two. Either Ole Miss, Miami, or Ole Miss, A&M. I think anything could happen there. Now, all of a sudden, this thing's wide open. Alabama or Oregon go upset Indiana. Like, if you're Indiana sitting there right now, who do you want to win that game? And I know all the coaches. I know the coach speak. We're worried about ourselves. Our biggest opponent is me. I get it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure.
I get it. But if you're having an honest conversation with yourself, who do you want to play, John? And it's not that you want to play that team. It's that you'd rather play that team than the other team. So if it's Alabama or Oklahoma and you're Indiana, who do you want to play?
I think they want to play Oklahoma.
I think different.
Really?
I don't want to mess with that defense, man. And I
think they think that they're good enough to do something on that defense while knowing that their offense already, Oklahoma's offense, is not going to do anything anyway. We'll stifle it even more.
Yeah, I think most people think that about any team in this tournament, that Oklahoma's offense is going to have limited success.
Yeah.
I just think that you have a quarterback that, and I know Mateer's, the whole running around and all that deal, and, Satanga and Burks, I get it, but I'd take my chances with Alabama. Just don't want to deal with that front seven. It's that different than how everybody else operates and the bodies that they have out there. It's an interesting conversation, though. We'll continue it with Andy Staples and talk some DJ Lagway next.